Primary races are spotting the Democrats' ideological divide with mixed results this week. In Michigan, the progressive Abdul El-Sayed narrowly defeated establishment-backed Congresswoman Haley Stevens in the Democratic Senate primary. In Wisconsin, though, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley barely upsetting Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong in the Democratic primary for governor. So how to interpret the results, and could the same tensions shape pivotal races in California this November? Our Jay Struberg talked with political scientist Christopher Toller about what the Democratic voters may be telling the party.
They're absolutely looking for someone that speaks to them, who they feel like is going to put forth policy that's going to better their individual lives. 2 years into Trump's second primary or second presidency, there's a lot of Democrats feeling like they're being hurt or harmed. And so, on the one hand, they absolutely want to see someone who's speaking to them, and some of these more progressive ideas do that in the face of Trump. But on the flip side, and this comes through in California as well, people are also really looking for someone that's going to push back and fight against Trump to represent the Democratic Party. And so that's really another big part in all of this when looking at the primaries is not only the policy side, but who's really fighting for the people.
So, like for instance, a key race that we're watching here is Mai Vang and Doris Matsui. We got the longtime establishment figure and the newcomer in Mai Vang. If you're in the Vang camp, are there any lessons that you can learn from watching these primaries play out?
Yeah, I think the one of the main lessons is to get voters out and to be recognizable and speak to as many voters as possible. I think one thing that helped El Said was that by the time the primary rolled around, he was a well-known figure. People knew who he was. He was on the national radar as a politician as well. Had major endorsements, and so that can definitely help. He's going to be going up against a Republican, though, and so when you look at two Democrats going up against each other, um, in the case of the Sacramento County district, it's going to be really important to get young voters out and make sure that the constituents that she's trying to speak to the most are not sitting on the couch when it comes to the general election. And really put forth, again, not just a policy agenda that speaks to Democrats and young voters, but one that works against sort of what people see as hurting them in the current administration, and showing that she's going to fight for people in Sacramento and Yolo County in ways that the current representative is not.
One of the big issues that came up with El Sayed's campaign has been foreign policy about his approach to Israel and Gaza. He has had some strong opinions accusing Israel of genocide. I'm wondering, from a California perspective, what type of position that puts California Democrats in heading into November on their policy.
I I think that it's going to be hard for California Democrats to follow suit. We already know Michigan with the uncommitted movement was sort of a special case in 2024. And so there was a bit more room for El Said to be outspoken there and really make his case to the voters across the state of Michigan. California, although the progressive movement is present here, hasn't had that same push and doesn't have the same political history when it comes to voters specifically supporting candidates because of their foreign policy proposals or positions.
Let's end on talk of the governor's race. Steve Hilton, Javier Becerra colliding this November. Do you see this race actually being competitive?
I think it's hard to see this race as competitive. From what I saw, the latest poll out of the LA Times had it like a 60-30 split for Becerra. So it's pretty much going to be a typical Democrat Republican race in California, which pretty much goes the Democrats' way most of the time, which is somewhat ironic because the top two primary was designed to make things more competitive. But as we've seen more often than not, even with the progressive move across the country, California remains sort of a Republican versus Democrat state when it comes to elections.
Yeah, that is fascinating. Dr. Christopher Towler, thank you so much for your time and your insight. We appreciate it.
Thank you.